Okay, later on today, as part of a MJA legend induction ceremony, I have the distinct opportunity of getting to meet the greatest professional wrestler of all time. The one, the only, if I get the book up, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Now, a friend of mine, the man, the myth, the legend, who does the MJA live feed, mentioned he wanted me to kick out a little video about, what I think about Flair. Now, I started watching wrestling in the 80s. My dad really wasn't a fan. So, of course, if you're a fan of the 80s, the only person you really remember is Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I kind of dug Hogan for a while, but I thought he was stale. I thought he was kind of dull. He got beat down the whole match, hit a big boot, a scoop slam, and then a leg drop, and that was it. And the crowd went nuts. One night, I was watching some TV, and I caught some wrestling at like 2 o'clock in the morning. The ropes weren't WWE style ropes. They looked almost like they were just hemp ropes with like a rubberized coating. There wasn't as much like lighting effects. And all of a sudden I heard, theme music that wasn't, didn't sound like Warriors or Hogan's. Didn't sound like anyone else's theme music. It had this real epic presence to it. And you could hear like the air get sucked out of the crowd. And there's like, and then this guy came walking out. In like a bright colored robe, just like platinum blonde hair. The moment he broke through the curtain, the crowd booed the crap out of him. Now he went into the ring, and he put on like a 30-minute long match. It was a solid match. This was back when, at a WWE event, a match maybe went like 8 minutes, and that could be a main event. But he went out, he put on a solid match. He cheated, he scratched, he clawed, he did whatever it took to win the match. And the crowd hated every minute of him being there. And as soon as he won that match, you heard like some clapping, because they were excited, they got to see Ric Flair wrestle, and then they booed the crap out of him again. That's what actually began my, I guess you could say, love affair with Ric Flair. Okay. I've seen him wrestle live a couple times, and you still get that feeling. I've seen Hogan wrestle live, and once you get back as fast as Hulk Hogan, the match sucks. With Flair, Flair can still pull you in. Yeah, if you've been a fan in like the 2000s, you saw a very limited Ric Flair. Go out and buy any of his DVD collections. I watched him wrestle Barry Windham for like 50 minutes. Didn't even feel like 50 minutes. Sure, the matches are much slower paced. It's a much more slower, deliberate, more psychology. It really pulls you into the match. And when you see something like a drop kick and then go for a pin attempt, and it feels like they almost could lose the match off a drop kick, as opposed to now, where if you don't see like a finisher, no one wins a match. It's a whole different style, and you get a whole much greater respect for the people who actually put so much of their sweat and blood into this industry. I get to meet that man. I get to meet easily the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Of all time. This is back, he's 16-time champion. I think he's like an 18-time, but there are a couple of like disputed title runs. But this was back when you held the title, you defended that title in like every match you had. If you were champion for a couple of months or even a year, that was a huge accomplishment. Because there was always somebody gunning to take you down, to try to become the best in the territory, let alone the best in the industry. People who, knock Ric Flair, every time someone hits a chop, you hear a woo from the crowd. You see chops in almost every match, and you still hear a woo. And that's how we know Ric Flair is the true immortal when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. Now, one way I have him signed, I'm getting an 8x10. I have to get an 8x10. I got a book full of them, I get to have a photo with him. If I could get a photo with him either giving me a chop I'll take my shirt off. I will take a straight chest chop. I went on time for a figure four, and a figure four hurts. I've been in a figure four, it sucks. It's a painful move. And I'm going to spend more money to get two other things autographed. One's going to be the book that I just showed. The other one, of course, try to get the glare down, is, my World Heavyweight Championship belt. Yeah, it's the WWE one, not the WCW one. Yeah, well aware of that. But still, I've never had a title belt get signed. I'm going to get this belt signed, and then they're willing to retire it. Because only 2 people, I believe, should actually have the opportunity to sign this belt. Stretching it with 3, maybe even 4. 1, Ric Flair. 2, Triple H. I know people are going to give me some shit for that, but you know what? Triple H respects Flair. Flair respects Triple H. And let's be honest, the best matches that Flair kicked out in the past couple of years were against H and HBK. HBK would be the 3rd person on that list. I could maybe see adding Sting, maybe, but I'm not a huge Sting fan. I think Sting did a lot for the industry, but nowhere near as much as, Flair. H is doing a lot for it in the past, 15, 20 years. Same with HBK. And I'm looking forward to meeting him. And if you live in Chicago and you're a wrestling fan and you didn't buy a ticket to see Ric Flair, why not? It's Ric Flair. Woo!